Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the best and only email copywriting video you are ever going to need to watch. And I know that's a bold claim and you're like, oh, you're just saying that because you want me to watch this video. And that's true. I do want you to watch this video because I have generated multiple 7 figures in revenue for myself and for my clients, potentially even 8 figures, just through email. I'd give you an exact number, but we lost count at a few million, so you're just going to have to take my word for it. Real quick, if you don't already know me, my name is Ben Bader, and over the past 2.5 years, I've worked with some of the biggest names in the info product space. You've probably seen a lot of my clients on social media. I'm the one on the back end who's writing all their emails, building their funnels, running their webinars, and helping them make a lot of money. So without further ado, here's how to write banger emails that actually convert and sell coaching and courses. First, I have the 3 simple principles of email copywriting. 1, meet them where they are. Nobody buys if they do not feel understood. So if you come in and you say, oh, I'm this hot shot and these are my beliefs and I just want you to adopt all of my beliefs, and you don't ever empathize with their current situation, you don't ever tell them, oh, I was once in your shoes, or I understand the way that you're thinking right now, you're just gonna come off as an asshole and people aren't gonna trust you, they're not gonna like you, they're not gonna buy from you. So meet them where they are means that you have to show that you align with their current beliefs and show that you understand their current beliefs, and bonus points if you can articulate how you once believed the same thing that they believe and then your beliefs shifted and that's how you found success. And when you do this correctly, you create an us versus the problem feeling. You're not this person on the other side of the screen who's just yelling at them and trying to sell them something. You are somebody who has been in their shoes, who's on their team, who's trying to help them make an informed decision to solve whatever problem they have. Principle number 2 is 1 core idea per email. So you're handling 1 core objection. You can do this through storytelling, you can do it through social proof, or you can do it through personal insights. But what you're not doing in emails is talking about one thing and then another and then bridging it to a completely different thing. It's 1 core idea, some way to articulate that core idea, and then a bridge to the solution to the problem that has arisen in that core idea, and then the offer. And I'll show you exact examples of this in a second, but this is what makes email copywriting pretty easy. Typically, I can get a singular idea for an email, and within 20 to 30 minutes, I can turn that one idea into a complete email that gets clicks and gets people to either buy a product or book a call. But before I show you exactly how to do that, let me explain principle number 3, which is give them an excuse to act now. Urgency simply sells. This is why bonuses, price increases, and discounts work. But you don't have to lean on those, because if you do, then you can only do that so much before it's fake and people just get kind of burnt out of hearing you say, oh, there's 3 spots left, when how has there been fucking 3 spots left for the last 12 years? Can you really not find 3 people? Is it that hard? So fake urgency doesn't actually work. But you can also do this through future pacing what could potentially happen if the problem isn't solved. And I'll show you how to do that in the email examples. But basically what this means is you give them an excuse to buy today. Why is today better than tomorrow? Why is the opportunity more prevalent today than it could be in a couple weeks? What's gonna happen if they don't take action and make a change as quickly as possible? That's where you kind of get into the negative future pacing and kind of articulating what would happen if they don't actually solve this issue. So let's get into the fun part. Here are some examples of emails that I've written both for myself and for clients previously, and I'm gonna show you these 3 principles in action. So the first email that I have is for my own offer. The subject line is don't buy courses. And the reason that I wanted to include this one is because somebody replied to this email on my list and they told me that another copywriting coach on YouTube basically copy and pasted my entire email and sent it to his list as if it were his own. And I'd tell you who it is, but he only gets like 200 views per video, and the guy's like fucking riding bikes all day. He's an absolute dork, a little peon. So I'm not gonna bring him any attention, but just know, if you ever rip my emails, you're cooked, buddy. You're fucking cooked. Especially when you claim to be a copywriting coach and you can't even come up with your own ideas. Like, that's insane to me. But this email performed really well and it was an absolute banger, and I'll explain why here. So subject line here, don't buy courses. For context, this is the day that I'm increasing the price of my coaching program, Artisan Lab, and I send an email that says don't buy courses. So immediately you're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? He's trying to sell me a course, but he's also telling me not to buy courses. I'll at least open this and give it a skim. Here's how I started off. You don't need to invest in coaching. This isn't a very smart thing for me to say the day before I increase the price of Artisan Lab, but it's true. If you're a winner, you're gonna win with or without my help. If you're not a winner, no mentor will save you. Hormozi could dedicate the rest of his life to getting you rich and you'd find a way to fuck it up. So this email is for you if you just know you're going to win. So you see how I am explaining their current situation and probably explaining the way that they're thinking, especially because I'm talking to the type of person that I actually want to join Artisan Lab. Like, I want somebody who just needs that extra push. They already kind of have a good head on their shoulders. They understand that this thing, this online business thing, can work and is going to work out if they actually put time into it. But by me saying this and by me not just shoving my offer down their throat, it's helping them trust me more because they feel understood. They feel like I know exactly what type of situation that they're in, and it doesn't come off as like needy and aggressive. It's okay, you're gonna do this with or without me, but here's where I get into the solution, which is it'll be a hell of a lot quicker if you're with me. So I'll continue here after this line, so this email is for you if you just know you're going to win. I don't know how else to describe that feeling. It's a hint of delusion coupled with enough rationality to make it work. You know it won't be easy, but you also know you're smart enough to figure it out. And at the end of the day, you operate from a position of fuck it, we ball, knowing that no matter what happens, you'll be all right. Sound familiar? All right, I'm talking to you, first name. You're just crazy enough to keep going and just smart enough to make it work. Your success is inevitable, but there are two routes you can take. It's me and them versus the problem. Here are the two routes that they could take that I've now guided them to by beautifully articulating their current thought process and the situation that they're in. Route number one is the slow lane. You can try to figure everything out on your own, spend hours combing through YouTube, feel lost, almost quit, but begin to finally figure it out after a year or two. This works, but it's more difficult. Plus, you'll be in the far right lane with all the Civics and the minivans. Who the fuck wants to be with the minivans? Come on. Route number two is the fast lane. This is where you find the shortcuts, where one piece of advice can save you 6 months of uncertainty and one connection can lead to a world of opportunity. You have a clear path to follow and mentors who've been where you aim to go. Your investment serves as a contract with yourself. You're fully committed this time. This lane is for the Porsches, Lambos, and Ferraris. And inside Artisan Lab, this is my offer, we're built for speed. No bullshit, no filler, just a direct path to the results. My students are closing 5-figure clients within weeks, not years. They're scaling to 30, 40, 50K months, while others are still watching YouTube tutorials. So now I've articulated the two routes that they could go in, and it doesn't feel like I just have this biased agenda because I addressed the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is that I want to sell them something. But it also means that they don't have to buy coaching. So by me addressing that and saying, you're gonna win with or without this thing, but it's just gonna be slower. But if you wanna go faster, if you wanna have my step-by-step guidance and help you every step along the way, and you want to be with the Ferraris and the Lambos and the Porsches, you don't wanna be in the left lane or the right lane rather, with all of the fucking minivans and the moms that are up at the wheel like this. Do you wanna be with people like that? No, you don't. You wanna be in the fucking Rari, okay? So I put myself at the same level as the audience, and then I just showed them the two routes that they could take. Obviously, one of them is gonna sound a lot better than the other because that's the actual truth. It is gonna be easier to find success when you have coaching. And so now I get into the more direct pitch. But here's the thing. Tomorrow at midnight, the price increases. You're gonna win either way, but why take the scenic route when you could be in the fast lane? Link to lock in the current price before midnight tonight. Fasten your seatbelt, my friend. Ben. So obviously the last element here is urgency, and it was real urgency because I did actually increase the price after that. But you see how this just kind of beautifully brings together the three principles that I talked about. I met people where they were, I articulated their current situation, I threw in some social proof here when I mentioned that my students are scaling to 30, 40, 50K a month, and then I gave people an excuse as to why buying today is gonna be better than waiting until tomorrow, and I literally had real urgency. So next email here is gonna be for an Amazon FBA offer, and this was an email I wrote a while ago, but I also just wanted to show you a handful of others so that you could see these three principles in action. So the subject line here, avoid this costly mistake. Hey, first name. There's a big mistake that 99% of people, myself included, make early on in their Amazon journey. It will cause big dips in your revenue if you're not aware of it. The mistake, it's actually quite simple. Most sellers don't know how to handle success. Keep reading and I'll explain what I mean. I found a lot of winning brands throughout my time selling on Amazon. And honestly, now that I've built a system to constantly source new products, it's quite common to find brands that can make me 100K in sales every month. When I first started out, I had this one winning electronics brand that was absolutely crushing for me. I got a great deal and my margins were well over 15%. Because I was doing so well with this brand, I stopped sourcing other products. Everything was great for about 2 months, and then it all came crashing down. So I'll pause here real quick. At the top of this email, we're addressing a costly mistake. Avoid this costly mistake. That right away is gonna grab people's attention because obviously they don't want to make this mistake. And then we're putting ourselves in the audience's shoes by articulating, okay, this is what I was thinking, this is how I went about it, this is the problem that I made or the mistake that I made, and it all came crashing down, and now we're on the same level and we can start to build a bridge. So we'll pick back up right here. They started allowing more people to sell this brand, competition rose, and my margins were cut in half overnight. I had to scramble to find other brands in different categories to sell, and it was an absolute nightmare. After that, I made sure to always be selling multiple brands in a variety of different categories. I even hired 2 VAs whose entire jobs are to constantly research products outside of electronics. This gave me a safety net for the inevitable day when my winning products die out. Because believe me, starting back from zero sucks when you've already had success. Keep this in mind when you find a winner. So now we've explained what the problem is, how to avoid the problem, and this is more of like a value style email. We're giving them the whole kind of sauce right here, but what that does is it shows that we're credible. It shows that we've been through their journey, and if they've gone through these same problems, they now trust us. They're like, oh shit, this person was once exactly where I am right now. Let me pay him for coaching, and that's where we have the CTA. If you want personal one-on-one coaching for your Amazon business, click here to book a call with me. I'm taking on a handful of students that want to rapidly scale without all the headaches that come with trying to do it on your own. Talk soon. Client's name. So again, pretty simple email, one core idea, and all I did is I took that idea, I articulated it with a story, and then I built the bridge to the solution to that story, CTA, easy money. I got a few more emails for you here. So next is a basketball scholarship coaching. This was another client that I worked with in the past, and the subject line here was the #1 scholarship killer that players need to know. Great subject line because everybody wants to get a scholarship. So, hey friend, let's jump right in. There's one seemingly tiny mistake that players make in front of college coaches that can cost them a scholarship. One thing I also like to think of when I'm writing copy, and sorry to pause here real quick, but every line needs to flow to the next and give somebody a reason to read the next line. So when I say there's one seemingly tiny mistake that players make in front of college coaches that can cost them a scholarship, that is a hook. That is like, oh shit, I now understand that this is something that I could do wrong, and I want to keep reading so I make sure that I don't do this thing wrong. And that leads me to the next line. It has caused coaches that I know personally to lose interest in a player that they were considering offering a spot. So I'm digging that pain. Like I have this big problem here, big mistake here, and I'm articulating how big that problem is and the potential impact that not fixing it and not being aware of it could have. So let's continue. Keep reading and I'll tell you how to avoid this. I've talked a lot about positioning yourself in the right situation to play in front of coaches. Let's say you've done so successfully. It's a hot summer day in a crowded gym and you look over at the bleachers. There's a handful of coaches that you contacted in attendance to watch you play. Feeling the butterflies? Here's the number one thing not to do. If and when you turn the ball over, do not shy away from the ball the next possession. Too many players will go hide in the corner after they make a mistake. This signals to everyone watching that you're unable to handle adversity. Instead, go get the ball and attack the very next possession. A coach would rather see you turn it over again than see you lose confidence. Why? Okay, real quick, just to pause here. You see how I built up this big problem, and then I articulated this exact situation. Like this is kind of the storytelling part. And here I reveal what this potential mistake is and explain why and how to avoid it. So now they feel understood. They feel like I've kind of taught them something. I'm credible. I understand their pain. Now they're going to potentially take the next action that I tell them to take. So let's continue here. Why? It shows that you have a next play mentality and you are secure in your preparation. You can handle stress and you don't back down when things aren't going your way. This goes way further than you'd think. I've had college coaches tell me personally that this is one of the biggest red flags they look for. I know this all sounds simple, but please don't overlook this if you're trying to get a spot on a college roster. And so now I've given the audience some value, I've articulated their pain, I built the bridge to solution, and here's the CTA. 3 days from now, you will be able to access all the information you need to know to take a proactive approach in the recruiting process for just $1. Spots are limited, so if you haven't reserved your spot on the wait list yet, you can do so by clicking here, talk tomorrow, client name. And I have the urgency here at the end, so I'm talking about a new offer launch and how they're gonna get access to for just $1, so that's pushing them to act right now. Lastly, I have a high ticket sales email example, and the subject line is "It's over." This is another really good example of pushing people to act today rather than waiting without using urgency or scarcity or having like any real sort of deadlines or bonuses. Obviously those help, and when you have them, they're really big levers to pull. But if you can use both, like if you can use a marketing angle that builds urgency plus the deadlines and bonuses, that's when it really crushes, and this is what I did in this email. Hey name, there's a harsh reality starting to set in right now. You hear everyone talking about it. Again, each line is just trying to get people to read the next line. But lately, we've been in a period of time where it's been extremely easy to get rich. It seems like everyone on Instagram has been flexing their new G-Wagon with pretty Latinas standing next to them. Plenty of dropshippers got rich, and then we had a crypto bull run, and then NFTs went crazy, and now things look a little bit different. Everyone's talking about the recession, inflation, and interest rates spiking. So what does this mean for you? The window of opportunity is closing. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, next week, or next year. You're waiting for the perfect time to jump in. We both know the perfect time never comes, but now is as close to perfect as you can get. This is an example where I'm using the market sentiment as the angle. At this time, this was probably 2022, where like NFTs went crazy, or maybe it was a little bit earlier than that, but NFTs went crazy, there was the crypto, and then everything started to crash and everybody was freaking out. That was a really fucking good angle to use. Like, hey, shit's kind of declining. Like, if you don't change, like the matrix is attacking, blah, blah, blah. That's why all of that kind of worked, and why you remember that is because it was like this big core common belief that everybody had, like, shit is declining. Oh, what's the path out of it? If you can be the person who leads the people out of that path, that's how you get people to spend money with you and you get fucking rich. So there was my urgency in this angle, and then I had actual urgency, which is because right now you can join Sales Accelerator for 50% off and literally pay half of what others have paid for this information. And just in case that's not enough for you, I threw in some crazy bonuses that you can't get anywhere else. Every order includes a 30-day action-based money-back guarantee to make it even sweeter. It's time to create the future you've always envisioned. Click here to get it now. Spots are limited, and you know this won't last forever. So it's easy to see why this email and the other ones all performed really well, is because I'm giving people reasons to buy now. They feel understood. I've articulated their pain. We're on the same team. We're solving the problem together. And then I'm saying, hey, like, now is the time. If you want to actually do this, here's why you should do this right now, today. So hopefully by now you have a pretty solid understanding of the 3 principles necessary to write an absolute banger email and get people to take action. Those 3 principles that I just went over alone have made me personally 7 figures and generated multiple 7 figures for my clients. But the one thing I didn't really have enough time to go over today was using social proof in emails. And social proof can be the biggest motivator to get people to take action, because when you see people who look like you, who are in the same position that you are in, and they're finding success, that can also get you over the fence. So if you want to learn how to effectively use social proof in your marketing and put everything that I just showed you on steroids, you can go to the description and apply for Artisan Lab, which is my small group and one-on-one coaching program where I go deeper on everything that I just showed you now, plus a whole lot more. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Hope you got some value here. Like, subscribe, comment, share this with your grandma. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.